A poor girl stood on the edge of a bridge in the pouring rain, her bald head gleaming under the streetlights, her gown soaked through, ready to end everything. Until a 6-year-old in pink rain boots saw her and called out 5 innocent words that would save 3 broken lives. Before we continue, please tell us, where in the world are you tuning in from? We love seeing how far our stories travel.
Daddy, there's a sad angel.
The words cut through the rain and the rhythmic slap of windshield wipers. Sawyer Kane's hands tightened on the steering wheel, and the car stopped immediately as his eyes followed his daughter's finger. His stomach dropped. There, on the riverside bridge, a figure stood on the wrong side of the railing, arms spread wide like broken wings against the storm. Before Sawyer could even process what he was seeing, he heard the click, that unmistakable sound of a seatbelt unbuckling. "Gemma, no!" But the car door was already open. His 6-year-old daughter was out in the rain, her pink rain boots splashing through puddles as she ran toward the bridge, toward the figure. "Gemma!" Sawyer slammed the car into park, his paramedic training screaming warnings about everything that could go wrong, but his father's heart was louder. He launched himself from the car, rain immediately soaking through his jacket, his shoes slipping on the wet pavement as he ran after his daughter.
Gemma had stopped about 10 feet from the figure. Through the rain, Sawyer could see her now, a young woman, maybe 25, completely bald, rain streaming down her scalp like tears. She wore a thin gown, her knuckles white as she gripped the railing. Her whole body trembled, from cold, from fear, from something deeper. "Why did you take off your hair?" Gemma's voice rang out, innocent and curious, like she was asking about a new haircut at school. "My friend Emma's mommy took off her hair too when she got sick, but she said it was okay because hair is just decoration and she's still beautiful inside." The woman's head turned slowly, her hollow eyes widening at the sight of the small child standing in the rain, looking up with genuine curiosity instead of fear. "Gemma, baby, come here," Sawyer called gently, his voice steady despite his racing heart. He was still 15 feet away, not wanting to startle anyone. But Gemma took another step forward instead. "You're crying," she observed, tilting her head the way she did when trying to understand something important. "But it's okay to cry. Daddy cries sometimes too, when he thinks I'm sleeping." Sawyer's chest tightened. She'd noticed. "He cries because he misses Mommy. Do you miss somebody?" The woman's face crumpled completely, and a sob escaped her throat, raw and broken. "Everyone. I miss everyone." "But how can you miss everyone when we're right here?" Gemma asked, genuinely confused. "We're somebody. I'm Gemma, and that's my daddy. His name is Sawyer, but I call him Daddy, and sometimes Super Daddy when he makes good pancakes." Despite everything, the rain, the height, the proximity to death, the smallest, most broken laugh escaped the woman's lips.
Sawyer moved closer, slowly, carefully. His paramedic's eye cataloged everything: the distinctive exhaustion of chemotherapy in her posture, the particular kind of despair that comes from fighting a losing battle. "Hi," he said softly, his voice cutting through the rain. "I'm Sawyer. You've already met my daughter, Gemma. We were just heading home from getting ice cream at midnight." "Ice cream at midnight?" the woman asked, her voice hollow but tinged with surprise. "It's our tradition when we can't sleep," Gemma explained seriously. "When your brain is too loud, ice cream makes it quieter. Daddy invented it after—" She paused, looking at her father. "After Gemma's mom passed, 6 years ago. Some nights are harder than others." The woman looked between them, this man and child standing in the rain at midnight, soaked through, sharing their pain with a stranger like it was the most natural thing in the world. "You should take your daughter away from here," the woman said, flat. "She shouldn't see this." See what? Gemma asked, genuinely puzzled. A sad lady who needs friends? We're really good at being friends, aren't we, Daddy? The best, Sawyer confirmed, taking another careful step closer. I'm dying, the woman said bluntly, like throwing a verbal punch to make them leave. Stage 4 cancer. 2 months left, maybe less. My mother died 3 months ago. She was my only family. I have nothing. I am nothing. Sawyer expected Gemma to be scared, to back away. Instead, his daughter's little face scrunched up in concentration, the way it did when she was working on a particularly hard puzzle. That's not true, Gemma said firmly. Nobody is nothing. Even when Mommy went to heaven, she didn't become nothing. She became the stars that watch us, and the warm feeling when we drink hot chocolate, and the butterfly kisses in our dreams.
Sawyer's eyes burned with tears. They'd crafted gentle stories about Kira's death for Gemma. She'd been so young when it happened, but somehow his daughter had developed her own beautiful philosophy about loss, one that surprised him every day. "What's your name?" Gemma asked the woman. "Amber," came the quiet reply. "That's a pretty name," Gemma exclaimed, her face lighting up despite the rain. "It's like sunshine. Amber, do you want to know a secret?" Despite everything, the ledge, the rain, the weight of death hanging in the air, Amber found herself leaning slightly toward the child. "What secret?" Gemma's voice dropped to what she thought was a whisper, but was actually quite loud. "Sometimes when Daddy thinks I'm not looking, he talks to Mommy's picture and tells her about our day. He tells her about the good stuff and the bad stuff. Maybe you could talk to your Mommy too, even if she's in heaven?" Amber's body shook with a sob that seemed to come from somewhere deep inside. She was the only one who understood me, the only one who cared. "Well, that's not true anymore," Gemma declared with the unshakable confidence only a child could possess. "Because now we care, right, Daddy? We care about Amber." "Very much," Sawyer said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. He was close enough now to see the goosebumps on Amber's arms, the way her lips had turned blue from the cold. "Amber, I know we're strangers, but Gemma's right. We care, and I understand more than you might think." "You don't understand anything," Amber said, but there was less venom in it, more exhaustion. "I understand watching the person you love most fade away. I understand medical bills that never stop coming. I understand being so tired that even breathing feels like work. I understand looking at tomorrow and seeing nothing but more pain." Amber's eyes snapped to his face, searching.
"Daddy's a paramedic," Gemma announced proudly. "He saves people. It's his superpower." "I can't save everyone," Sawyer said honestly, "but I try. And right now I'm trying to save you. Not because it's my job, but because—" He looked at his daughter, standing there in the rain with such fierce determination. "Because my daughter sees something in you, and she's never been wrong about people." Then Gemma did something that made Sawyer's breath catch in his throat. She walked right up to the railing, close enough to touch it, and held up her tiny arms towards Amber. "Can I give you a hug?" she asked simply. "Daddy says my hugs are magic. They made Mrs. Patterson smile when her cat went to heaven, and they helped Mr. Jorge when his son was in the hospital. Maybe they could help you too." Amber looked down at the small, fearless child, arms outstretched in the rain, offering pure love to a complete stranger who stood on the edge of death. I don't want to hurt you," Amber whispered. "I might fall." "You won't fall," Gemma said with complete certainty, "'cause we won't let you. That's what friends do. They don't let each other fall." "Gemma's right," Sawyer said, moving closer still. "Amber, I work at St. Mary's Hospital. I know exactly what you're going through. The chemo, the radiation, the endless tests. But I also know there's a new trial starting next month. Dr. Smith is running it. Have you heard about it?" Amber shook her head slightly. "I stopped going to appointments. What's the point when you're already dying?" "The point is," Gemma said very seriously, "that you're not dying right now. Right now, you're living. You're standing and talking and listening to the rain. That's a lot of living." "Out of the mouths of babes," Sawyer murmured. Then louder, "Amber, please, come down. Let us help you. Even if it's just for tonight, let us show you that you're not alone."
"What if I'm too sick?" Amber asked, her voice small and broken. "What if I become a burden?" Gemma looked confused. "What's a burden?" "It's when someone needs a lot of help," Sawyer explained gently. "Oh, like when I had the flu and Daddy had to bring me soup and tissues and read me the same story 27 times? 28 times, Sawyer corrected with a small smile. But Daddy said that wasn't a burden. He said it was a privilege? Privilege. It was a privilege to take care of you. Yeah, a privilege, Gemma repeated proudly, then looked back at Amber. So taking care of you would be a privilege too. Amber stared at this little girl, so small, so brave, so full of love for a stranger, and something inside her cracked. Not broke, but cracked open, like a seed that had been buried in frozen ground, suddenly feeling warmth. If I come down, I don't know if I can be happy. I don't know if I can pretend everything's okay. You don't have to pretend anything, Gemma said firmly, with wisdom beyond her years. When I'm sad, Daddy lets me be sad. We just be sad together. And somehow, it feels less sad. It's like magic, but real magic, not the fake kind in movies. The rain was coming down harder now, and Sawyer could see Amber shivering violently. Her fingers on the railing were turning white, whether from cold or from gripping so tightly. Amber, he said gently, you're going to get hypothermia if you stay out here much longer. And Gemma, he glanced at his daughter who was now thoroughly soaked despite her raincoat, Gemma needs to get warm too. Come with us, just for tonight. We'll get hot chocolate, we'll get you warm, and tomorrow you can decide what you want to do. But tonight, just choose to come with us.
I don't even know you, Amber said, but she was looking at Gemma when she said it. That's okay, Gemma said brightly. All friends start as strangers. Daddy says that's the beautiful part. You never know when a stranger might become your best friend, or even family. Family, Amber repeated, the word foreign on her tongue. We're a small family, just me and Daddy since Mommy went to heaven, but small families have more room to grow, like our garden. We started with just one butterfly bush, and now we have 12. 13, Sawyer corrected. 13, Gemma exclaimed. See? Always room for more. Slowly, so slowly that at first Sawyer wasn't sure it was happening, Amber began to shift her weight. Her hands loosened slightly on the railing. If I do this, if I come down, I don't have anywhere to go. I gave up my apartment. I gave up everything. You can stay with us, Gemma announced before Sawyer could respond. We have a guest room. It has butterflies on the walls because Mommy painted them. But if you don't like butterflies, we could paint over them. But I think you'll like them. They're happy butterflies. Sawyer's throat was so tight he could barely speak. Gemma's right. We have room, and you shouldn't be alone, especially not when you're sick. Why? Amber asked, and it was a real question, desperate and confused. Why would you do this for me? Sawyer thought for a moment, then spoke from his heart. 6 years ago, when my wife died, I stood on a different kind of bridge. Not a real one, but a metaphorical one. I had a newborn baby who needed me, but I couldn't see past my grief. A stranger, an old woman at the grocery store, saw me struggling with Gemma, crying in the cereal aisle. She didn't know me, but she helped me. She said, "Honey, the hardest battles aren't meant to be fought alone." She watched Gemma for 2 hours while I sat in my car and fell apart. I never even got her name, but she saved me that day. So now we save other people, Gemma added matter-of-factly. It's like a chain of nice. Amber's legs were shaking so badly now that Sawyer was genuinely worried she might fall by accident rather than choice. Amber, please, he said urgently. Let me help you over. I promise we've got you. For a long moment there was nothing but the sound of rain and distant traffic. Then, with movements that seemed to take enormous effort, Amber began to climb back over the railing. Her foot slipped on the wet metal, and for one heart-stopping second she teetered. Sawyer lunged forward, catching her around the waist, pulling her over and away from the edge. She collapsed against him, sobbing, great body-shaking sobs that seemed to come from the depths of her soul. Without hesitation, Gemma wrapped her small arms around Amber's waist, pressing her face against her side. You're safe now, Gemma said, her voice muffled but clear. We've got you. We won't let go. They stood there in the rain for what felt like forever. A paramedic,
a little girl and a dying woman, tangled together in an embrace that defied explanation. Finally, Sawyer gently guided them toward the car. "Come on, let's get out of this rain." As they walked, Gemma held Amber's hand tightly, chattering to fill the silence. "You're really cold, and you're shaking like when I had to present my project about butterflies to the whole class. But Daddy says shaking just means you're brave because you're doing something even though you're scared." In the car, Sawyer turned the heat up full blast. Without being asked, Gemma pulled her special blanket from the back seat, a soft purple thing that she never let anyone else touch, and wrapped it around Amber's shoulders. "This is my mommy blanket. It still smells like her, kind of, like lavender and sunshine, but you can borrow it. It has extra love in it." Amber clutched the blanket like a lifeline, breathing in the faint scent of lavender that indeed still clung to the fabric. The 24-hour diner was nearly empty when they walked in, dripping and exhausted. The waitress, a motherly woman named Rosa, took one look at them and ushered them to a corner booth without a word, bringing towels from the back. Gemma sat right next to Amber, practically glued to her side, as if afraid she might disappear if she let go. "Amber, do you like pancakes? The pancakes here are like clouds. Happy clouds, not storm clouds." "I haven't eaten in 2 days," Amber admitted quietly. Sawyer flagged Rosa down immediately. "Can we get a full stack of pancakes, scrambled eggs, toast, and bacon, and 3 hot chocolates with extra whipped cream?" "Make mine with marshmallows, too. And can Amber's have marshmallows? Marshmallows make everything better. It's science." As they waited for the food, Sawyer pulled a small notebook from his pocket, miraculously only slightly damp, and started drawing. "What are you making?" Amber asked, her voice hoarse from crying. "A picture of us," Gemma said, concentrating hard, "so you can remember tonight. See, that's you, and that's me, and that's Daddy. And those are butterflies all around us, because butterflies mean new beginnings. My teacher told me that." When the food arrived, Sawyer watched as Amber ate slowly, mechanically at first, then with something approaching actual hunger. Color began returning to her cheeks, although the dark circles under her eyes remained. "Amber," Sawyer said carefully, "you mentioned you stopped going to appointments. When was your last one?" 3 weeks ago. They said that tumors had grown, that treatment wasn't working anymore, that I should get my affairs in order." "Which doctor?" "Dr. Patterson, but then he left, and they assigned me to someone new, but I never went." "Dr. Smith? Dr. Rebecca Smith?" Amber nodded, surprised. "How did you know?"
"She's revolutionary," Sawyer said, leaning forward. "She just got approval for a new immunotherapy trial. It's specifically for patients who haven't responded to traditional treatment. I've seen her work miracles, literal miracles. My colleague's wife was given 3 months. That was 2 years ago. She just ran a marathon." "But I'm too far gone," Amber said, though there was something in her voice now. Not hope exactly, but maybe the space where hope could grow. "That's exactly what Jim's wife said," Sawyer countered. "Dr. Smith doesn't believe in too far gone. She believes in fighting until the very last second. And sometimes that last second is when everything changes." Gemma, who had been listening while decorating her pancakes with whipped cream, suddenly spoke up. "Amber, do you like butterflies?" The change of subject was so abrupt that Amber blinked. I used to. My mom loved them." "Then you have to see our butterfly garden. Daddy and I made it for Mommy. But guess what? The butterflies don't know it's just for Mommy, so they bring messages for everyone. Maybe they could bring messages from your mommy, too." "Messages?" Amber asked, and despite everything, there was a tiny spark of curiosity in her voice. "Yeah, like when a butterfly lands on you, it means someone in heaven is saying hello. And when they dance around the flowers, they're celebrating something good that's about to happen. And when they fly really high, they're carrying wishes up to the clouds." "That's beautiful," Amber whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks again. "Daddy didn't believe it at first," Gemma said, shooting her father a look. "But then a butterfly landed on his nose on my first day of school, right when he was crying in the car. So now he believes." "It was a very convincing butterfly," Sawyer said with a small smile. They stayed in the diner until nearly 3 in the morning. Gemma had curled up against Amber's side, fighting sleep but determined to stay awake in case Amber needs another hug.
I live about 10 minutes from here. The guest room is already made up. My sister stayed last week. You can stay as long as you need. I can't impose. It's not imposing, it's joining. There's a difference.
How do you know so much for someone so small? Amber asked, smoothing Gemma's hair gently. I read a lot, Gemma said seriously, and I listen. Daddy says listening is a superpower that not enough people have. The drive to Sawyer's house was quiet except for Gemma's occasional sleepy observations. Look, the rain stopped. The stars are peeking. That cloud looks like a dragon. The house was modest but warm, with children's drawings covering the refrigerator and toys scattered across the living room floor. It looked lived in, loved, real. I'm sorry for the mess, Sawyer started, but Amber shook her head. It's perfect, she said softly. It looks like life. The guest room was small but cozy, with pale yellow walls and, as promised, butterflies painted in delicate strokes across one wall. Mommy painted those when she was pregnant with me, Gemma explained. She said butterflies would watch over whoever slept in here. Amber stood in the doorway, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Sawyer said gently. Just rest. Tomorrow we'll call Dr. Smith. Tonight, just rest. Can I give you another hug, a good-night one? Gemma asked. Amber knelt down and Gemma wrapped her arms around her neck, squeezing tight. Thank you for not jumping. I would have been really sad if you turned into nothing, when you're definitely something. After Gemma was tucked into bed, Sawyer found Amber sitting on the guest bed, holding Gemma's drawing. She's extraordinary, Amber said. She saves me every day, Sawyer admitted, leaning against the doorframe. After Kira died, I didn't think I could do it. Single father, newborn baby, crushing grief. But Gemma, she made me want to be better, to be worthy of her love. She said you cry when you think she's sleeping. Sawyer's face flushed slightly. I didn't know she knew. Kids know everything, Amber said softly. I knew my mom was sick before she told me. I could see it in the way she looked at me, like she was trying to memorize my face.
Is that why you were on the bridge? Because you couldn't bear to go through it alone? Amber nodded. The cancer is in my bones now. My liver, my lungs. Every breath hurts. Every movement is agony. And I had to watch my mother go through the same thing just 3 months ago. I held her hand when she died. She was in so much pain at the end, even with all the medications. I couldn't face that alone. You're not alone now, Sawyer said firmly. I mean it. We're here. For whatever comes next, we're here. The next morning, Amber woke to the smell of bacon and the sound of Gemma singing off-key in the kitchen. For a moment, she forgot where she was, forgot why she was there. Then it all came rushing back. The bridge, the rain, the little girl with the rainbow umbrella. She should feel embarrassed, should feel ashamed. Instead, she felt held, like the universe had caught her at the last second. She padded into the kitchen to find Gemma standing on a stool, helping Sawyer flip pancakes. They were both wearing aprons. Amber, Gemma exclaimed, you're awake. We're making celebration breakfast. What are we celebrating? You being here, Gemma said simply. That's worth celebrating. Dr. Smith was everything Sawyer had promised and more. She looked at Amber's charts with the intensity of someone solving a complex puzzle rather than delivering a death sentence. The preview's treatment didn't work, she said bluntly, but that doesn't mean nothing will. This new trial, it's showing remarkable results in cases like yours. I won't lie to you, it's going to be hard, harder than what you've already been through. But if you're willing to fight, I'm willing to fight with you. What are the odds? Amber asked. Statistics are just numbers. Every patient is unique. What matters is not the odds, but the effort. Are you willing to try? Amber thought about the bridge, about the rain, about a little girl's arms reaching up to catch her. Yes, she said, I'm willing to try. The treatment was brutal. Sawyer had undersold how hard it would be. For the first 2 weeks, Amber could barely lift her head. She was staying in their guest room full-time now. There had been no discussion about it. It had just happened naturally. Gemma appointed herself Chief Happiness Officer and took her duties very seriously. Every morning before school, she would bring Amber a new drawing. Every afternoon, she would read to her from her favorite books, doing all the voices. Every evening, she would tell her about her day in exhausting detail. And then Marcus said that butterflies don't have ears, but I said they do. They just have different kinds of ears. And Mrs. Johnson said I was right, and Marcus had to apologize, but I said it was okay because learning new things is hard sometimes. On the really bad days, when Amber couldn't eat, couldn't speak, could barely open her eyes, Gemma would simply crawl into bed next to her and hold her hand. "It's okay to feel yucky," she would whisper. "The medicine is fighting the bad stuff. It's like when Daddy cleans my scraped knee, it stings because it's working." Sawyer adjusted his work schedule to drive Amber to treatments. They would sit in the chemo ward, Amber hooked to IVs, Sawyer reading medical journals or doing paperwork, comfortable in their shared silence. "Why are you doing this?" Amber asked one day, when the nausea had subsided enough for her to speak. "Really, why?" Sawyer looked up from his paperwork, considering. "Because Gemma was right. On the bridge, she saw something in you. She saw someone worth saving. And the more time I spend with you, the more I see it too." "What?" "Strength, courage, beauty." "I'm bald and dying," Amber said flatly. "You're fighting and living. And for what it's worth, you make bald look good." Despite everything, Amber laughed. A real laugh, not the broken sound from the bridge. "That's the worst line I've ever heard." "I'm out of practice," Sawyer admitted, smiling. "It's been 6 years since I've tried to make a woman laugh." There was something in that admission, something that hung in the air between them. But before either could address it, Gemma burst in with her latest butterfly drawing, and the moment passed.
3 months into treatment, something shifted. Amber woke up one morning and didn't immediately feel like death. She ate breakfast, real breakfast, not just toast, and kept it down. She walked to the butterfly garden without needing to rest. The scan results came back a week later. Dr. Smith actually smiled when she read them. "The tumors have shrunk by 40%, she said. This is remarkable." Amber stared at the images, at the dark spots that were notably smaller than before. What does this mean? It means the treatment is working. It means we keep fighting. It means hope. That night, they celebrated with ice cream at midnight, a tradition Amber had now been fully inducted into. Gemma made a speech, standing on her chair, spoon as a microphone. "I would like to toast Amber," she said seriously, "for being brave and strong and for not giving up even when the medicine made her feel yucky. And for teaching me that sometimes families find each other in the rain." "To finding each other in the rain," Sawyer echoed, raising his spoon. "To butterfly gardens," Amber added, her eyes wet with tears. "To magic hugs," Gemma shouted, then launched herself at Amber, wrapping her in the tightest embrace her small arms could manage. 6 months into treatment, the tumors had shrunk by 70%. 9 months in, they were barely detectable. At the 1-year mark, Dr. Smith used a word Amber had never thought she'd hear. Remission. "Complete remission," she said, showing the scans. "I can't find any active cancer cells. We'll need to monitor you closely, but Amber, you did it." Amber sobbed in the doctor's office, great heaving sobs of relief and disbelief and joy. Sawyer held her while Gemma patted her back, saying, "Happy tears are the best tears. They water the happiness flowers in your heart." The butterfly garden had become their sanctuary. Amber had helped expand it, adding new plants, creating winding paths, installing a small bench where they could sit and watch the butterflies dance. One evening, as spring gave way to summer, Amber sat on that bench with Gemma in her lap. Her hair had grown back in soft copper-colored curls that Gemma loved to play with. "Amber," Gemma said quietly, "I have a secret." "Another one?" Amber smiled, running her fingers through Gemma's hair in return. "I asked the butterflies to tell your mommy something." "What did you ask her to tell?" "That we're taking really good care of you, and that maybe you could be my second mommy? Not a replacement mommy, because nobody can replace mommy, but like a bonus mommy." Amber's eyes filled with tears as she looked at Sawyer, who was standing in the doorway of the house watching them with an expression of such tenderness it took her breath away. "Gemma," Amber whispered,
Would you really want me to be your bonus, Mommy? Gemma twisted around to look at her with those serious, wise eyes. You're not sick anymore. Dr. Smith said so. You're in remission, Sawyer supplied, walking over to join them. Yeah, remission. That means the bad stuff is gone. Gemma beamed. So now you can stay with us forever and ever. Forever and ever? Amber repeated, her voice breaking. Forever and ever, Gemma confirmed with the certainty of a child who had made up her mind. Later that night, after Gemma was asleep, Sawyer found Amber in the butterfly garden, watching fireflies dance in the darkness. 2 years cancer-free next week, she said softly, still amazed by the words. Kiera would have loved you, Sawyer said, sitting beside her on the bench. A cancer survivor who almost gave up? A warrior who fought back. A woman who loves our daughter. A person who brought light back into our home. Sawyer took her hand gently. Amber, when I saw you on that bridge, I thought we were saving you. But the truth is, you saved us too. Sawyer, I'm in love with you. Completely, utterly, ridiculously in love with you. I know it's complicated. I know you might not feel the same way. But Gemma's not the only one who wants you to stay forever. I can't promise forever, Amber said quietly. The cancer could come back. I might not be able to have children. Nobody can promise forever, Sawyer interrupted gently. Kira and I thought we had forever, and we got 6 years. But those 6 years were worth everything. And whatever time we have, whether it's 6 years or 60, I want to spend it with you. Amber turned to face him fully, her hand reaching up to touch his face. I love you too, both of you. You gave me a reason to fight. You gave me a family. You gave me hope when I had none left. So stay, Sawyer whispered. Not as our guest, not as someone we're taking care of. Stay as part of our family. Marry me. Be Gemma's bonus mommy. Be my wife. Yes, Amber said, laughing and crying at the same time. Yes to all of it. The wedding was held in the butterfly garden on a perfect September afternoon, 3 years to the day after the night on the bridge. Amber wore a simple white dress with her blonde hair, now long and flowing, crowned with flowers that Gemma had picked herself. Gemma served as both flower girl and maid of honor, taking both roles very seriously. She'd practiced her flower-throwing technique for weeks and had written a speech that she'd memorized word for word. 3 years ago, Gemma said at the reception, standing on a chair so everyone could see her, 3 years ago, I saw a sad angel on a bridge in the rain. Daddy says I saved her, but that's not the whole truth. The truth is, we all saved each other. Amber needed a family, Daddy needed someone to love again, and I needed a mommy who would understand that butterflies carry messages and ice cream at midnight is medicine for sadness. She paused, looking at Amber with those wise old soul eyes. Amber was really sick when we met her. The doctors said she was dying. But love is stronger than dying. Hope is stronger than cancer. And sometimes, when you reach out your arms to catch someone who's falling, you find out you are falling too, and you catch each other. There wasn't a dry eye in the garden.
Dr. Smith stood up next, raising her glass. As a doctor, I'm supposed to believe in medicine and science and statistics, but Amber taught me to believe in miracles too. Her recovery defies all medical explanation. The only variable I can identify that was different from other patients was this. She had something to fight for. She had people who refused to let her give up. Sawyer stood, pulling Amber up with him. 3 years ago, I was a single father trying to make it through each day. I thought our family was complete, just Gemma and me. But then we met Amber on the worst night of her life, and somehow that became the best night of ours, because that was the night our family really began. He turned to Amber, his eyes full of love. You asked me once why we helped you. The truth is, we couldn't not help you. Gemma saw an angel, and she was right. You're our angel. You brought us back to life just as much as we helped you choose life." 1 year later, the local news did a feature on the Sophie's Angels Foundation, the nonprofit Amber had started to provide support for isolated cancer patients. The name was Gemma's idea, of course. "We match cancer patients who have no support system with volunteer families," Amber explained to the reporter. "Sometimes people just need to know someone cares. Sometimes they need rides to treatment. Sometimes they just need someone to sit with them during chemo. We provide that connection, that human touch that can make all the difference." The camera panned to show Gemma, now 10, wearing a t-shirt that said Chief Hope Officer, her official title in the foundation. "We've helped 47 people so far, and nobody we've helped has given up. That's a perfect record," Gemma said proudly. The reporter asked, "What inspired you to start this foundation?" Amber smiled, her hand unconsciously moving to her stomach where, against all odds, new life was growing, a miracle Dr. Smith said shouldn't have been possible after all the treatment. "Sometimes you meet people at the exact moment you're meant to. A little girl and her father saved my life one rainy night. They showed me that even when you think you have nothing left, there's always hope. There's always the possibility of connection. There's always a chance for a new beginning." The bridge where they met now bore a small bronze plaque that Sawyer had installed with the city's permission. On this spot, on October 15th, a 6-year-old girl taught us that love is the strongest medicine. Hope is contagious, and sometimes angels come in small packages with rainbow umbrellas. This is where 3 strangers became a family. If you're reading this and feeling lost, please know, your family might be just one outstretched hand away. Below the plaque, someone had added a small box with a sign, Messages of Hope. It was always full of notes, some from people struggling, others from people who'd made it through, all reaching out across the void to say, "You're not alone." 5 years after that night on the bridge, the Kane family, Sawyer, Amber, Gemma, and now baby Kira, returned to the spot for their annual remembrance. Gemma, now even wiser than before, stood at the railing, safely on the right side, and released a butterfly they'd raised from a caterpillar. "For everyone who's standing on a bridge tonight," she said solemnly, "may you find your rainbow umbrella." Amber, completely cancer-free for 5 years now, officially considered cured, held baby Kira close. The baby had Sawyer's eyes and Amber's copper hair. Another miracle in a story full of them. "Do you ever think about that night?" Sawyer asked quietly. "Every day," Amber replied, "but not with sadness, with gratitude, because that was the night I learned that sometimes the worst moments of our lives are actually doorways to the best." "Mommy Amber," Gemma said suddenly, using the title she'd chosen herself, "tell Kira the story about the night we became a family." So Amber did, standing there on the bridge where it all began, telling her miracle baby about the night a little girl saw an angel, a father trusted his daughter's heart, and a dying woman chose to live. The butterflies danced around them as she spoke, carrying messages between earth and heaven, between the living and the lost, between strangers who were always meant to be family. And somewhere in the wind, if you listen closely, you could hear the echo of a 6-year-old's voice saying the 5 words that changed everything. "We won't let you fall." Those 5 words became the motto of Sophie's Angels. They were printed on every volunteer's shirt, painted on the wall of their office, and whispered by hundreds of patients who'd been caught just in time. Because sometimes that's all any of us need. Someone to see us in our darkest moment and say, "We won't let you fall." Sometimes salvation comes in the form of medicine. Sometimes it comes in the form of time. And sometimes it comes in the form of a little girl with a rainbow umbrella, standing in the rain, arms outstretched, refusing to let a stranger become nothing when she could help them become everything. This is the true power of human connection. This is why no one should ever stand on their bridge alone. This is why hope, even the tiniest spark of it, can grow into a blazing fire that burns away disease, despair, and death itself. Because love, real love, the kind that shows up in rain boots at midnight, doesn't just save lives, it creates them, it multiplies them,
It transforms them into something beautiful enough to make butterflies dance and angels sing and little girls believe that magic is real. Because it is. The magic is real, and it lives in every hand we extend to catch someone who's falling.